Hello, welcome to our next class. Again, a class online. Sorry about that. It would have been nice to meet you face to face and have some more activities in class. But I've tried to put some time into finding good material for you, interactive material to really help your English. So I hope that you benefit from this class. Today we're going to be looking at cause and effect. So let's jump in with some examples. It looks cloudy today, so I think it will rain. Because of COVID-19, we're all studying online. It looks cloudy today. This is the cause. This is the reason. This is the effect. I think it will rain. And here is the word that we use to join the cause with the effect. In this case, it's so. Here it's slightly different. The sentence starts with a because. Because of COVID-19, again, the cause, we are all studying online, the effect. You could reverse this. You can have the effect first, actually. You can say, we are all studying online because of COVID-19. So the discussion of causal relationships is very common in academic writing. It's often necessary to understand and explain the reasons why things happen. For example, if you are conducting an experiment, we did this experiment and this was the result. And then we tried this and this was the result. Or to justify why certain decisions have been taken. We chose this methodology rather than this one because of this reason. Or since this methodology was less effective in this place, we have chosen to use this one. Or lastly, to interpret data. There are different ways to present causes and/or effects. Here are three possible ways. You could discuss all the causes first and then discuss the effects in a separate paragraph. Or you could discuss them one by one. This is the cause and then this was its effects in the same or in the following paragraph. Or you could group different causes and effects that share certain characteristics and deal with each group in turn. How would you decide which method to use? Well, you use the same logic that you always use. How can the reader or the audience most easily understand what I am presenting today? So that is always the criteria we use. I present my data in a way that is most easy for the audience, the reader, to understand. And then we would choose the method, the best way to present it, according to these three. So words and phrases we'll often hear. You've already seen because and so. We might swap because with since or as or due to. Again, we may see here, let's use the pointer. X is the causal factor in, or X determines whether as a result of X, or because of X, because of this, because of the fact. Or if we're showing effects accordingly, hence, thus, therefore. Therefore is probably the most common in English. Consequently and accordingly you can use, but I would tend to use therefore. For this reason, again, you can use for this reason, but really you're using three words when you could just use one in therefore. So I would tend to use therefore. Because of this, is like therefore as a simple way of putting it. Well, let's have some more examples. I am using the same example and then I'm using different terms to explain the same point. Because West Sumatra is beautiful, we enjoy visiting new places. So because West Sumatra is beautiful, the cause. We have a comma there. If we use because at the front of the sentence, we always have a comma after the cause. And then the effect, the result is, we enjoy visiting new places. Secondly, this is just swapping the word because with since. Since West Sumatra is beautiful, again with the comma, we enjoy visiting new places. Ya, bahasa Indonesia, karena begitu indah Sumatera Barat, kami dengan senang hati pergi ke sini, pergi ke sana. It's a bit like that in bahasa Indonesia. Thirdly, West Sumatra is beautiful, comma, so we enjoy visiting new places. So is the most common in speech. Sometimes in formal scientific writing, we don't use so, we would use because. And then lastly, I'm using a therefore instead. West Sumatra is beautiful, full stop. Simple, short sentence. Then we carry on with a therefore and a comma. Therefore, we enjoy visiting new places. These are 4 different ways of saying exactly the same thing. One is not better or worse. They're all very similar. But sometimes you will use certain ones in formal writing, and other times you will use them in speech. So that is sometimes a little bit tricky, deciding which one to use in which situation. All right, we're going to be looking at the difference between so and because. So I want you to watch this video to find the answer. So please watch this short video and then go to this website and test yourself with this quiz to see if you understand. This is just a simple quiz, when to use so and when to use because. So please stop this lecture now, open up the PowerPoint and click on the PowerPoint slide to open up this URL, to open this website, this YouTube video and then this website. A common tool that people involved in international development or problem solving use is called the problem tree analysis. I'd like to introduce you to this tool. It's very simple, but very, very useful. So the first thing I want you to do is to watch this 2-minute video about problem tree analysis. Again, open the PowerPoint and click on this link. It's only 2 minutes. After that, I want you to read this 2-page article. You might find this a little bit difficult. Watching YouTube is good, but as young scientists, you need to be able to read articles. I've chosen a short one, it's only 2 pages, but I want you to read it carefully so that you can improve your reading skills. So please stop the video and do these 2 activities. Watch the video and then read the article. Thank you. So a problem tree is a simple way of viewing a problem, its causes and its effects. We always start with the core problem. It's like the trunk of the tree. In this case, the core problem is child malnutrition. Kurang gizi untuk anak-anak. Now, below this, the roots of the tree, the akar, are the causes, penyebab. And here we see a variety of them. Some of these may be new words, don't worry, I'll explain them. No latrines, that means there's no toilets, no sanitation. Not enough water, kurang air. Poor hygiene, lack of knowledge, education, leading to diseases like diarrhea. On the right here, we see that degraded soil leads to failed harvest, which leads to poor diet. Now, these are the roots, the causes of child malnutrition. Now, the effects up here are the leaves or the branches of the tree. And there are 2 written here. The first is high under 5 mortality rate. Tingkat kematian tinggi untuk balita. And then stunted growth. It means pertumbuhan lambat for children. All right? So problem trees always look like this. You have the causes as the roots, the core problem as the tree trunk, and then the effects or the results as the leaves. Now, using a problem tree is very helpful for us when we're talking about cause and effect language. Because what you can do is use the different components of the problem tree to generate sentences, to make sentences, which uses the language we're trying to practice today. So let's do this now. The first example, because hygiene is poor, comma, many children suffer from diarrhea. Can you see that? This box is poor hygiene and it causes diarrhea. So I've taken these two boxes out and turned them into a sentence. Because hygiene is poor, many children suffer from diarrhea. We could write this another way. Or we can look at the causes of poor hygiene. And there are two, well there are actually three. No latrines, not enough water, or lack of knowledge. And we can write it in the second example. Hygiene is poor because there is not enough water or latrines. Here's another example. We're looking now at failed harvests which lead to poor diet. Since harvests have failed, comma, children have had a poor diet, or probably better say, children have a poor diet. The next one. As a result of degraded soil, comma, harvests have failed. So the degraded soil causes the failed harvest, which in turn causes the poor diet. More examples, a lack of knowledge has caused. So on this occasion, we're using the direct simple word in English, caused, which of course where because comes from. A lack of knowledge has caused poor hygiene and a poor diet. We can say that, but it is better to say a lack of knowledge has contributed towards poor hygiene and a poor diet. Because poor hygiene and poor diet, here they are, poor hygiene and poor diet, they are actually caused by a number of different factors. Failed harvest, lack of knowledge, not enough water, and no latrines. So if we say a lack of knowledge has caused poor hygiene and a poor diet, it is partly true. But a lack of knowledge is only one of the factors contributing towards poor hygiene and poor diet, which is why it is better to say a lack of knowledge has contributed towards poor hygiene and poor diet. I hope that makes sense. Again, a further example, we're looking at child malnutrition here. So this is the core problem, and it has two effects: high mortality and stunted growth. Child malnutrition has caused high infant mortality and stunted growth. Or we could say it in the present tense. Child malnutrition causes high infant mortality and stunted growth. Lastly, I'm putting a couple of things together here. Stunted growth is a consequence, or you could say stunted growth is an effect of child malnutrition, which in turn is caused by a variety of other factors. You can put multiple causes in a single sentence, but the risk is it becomes more complicated and harder to understand. So I would suggest you keep your sentences simple and short. Here's a further example. Don't worry too much about the Bahasa Inggris, but I wanted you to see the graphic, the diagram here. The core problem is encroachment into a protected area. There's a protected area like Taman Nasional, and people are going into it and they are taking the resources. And a number of causes why that is. You see them here as the roots. And then there are a number of effects. So I hope this will help you see this as a problem tree. Here's our last problem tree. Let's look at it with the pointer. So the core problem is teenagers, remaja, not finishing school. That is the core problem. And then the roots, the causes. Why don't teenagers finish school? Well, because parents don't encourage them. Why don't parents encourage them? Because parents don't think school is important. Or because parents are too busy to discipline or support those teenagers. What's another reason, another cause why teenagers don't finish school? Well, school's not interesting, it's boring. Another reason is they may need to find employment to support the family. And this may be because they have a low family income. So these are the causes, the roots. Now these are the effects, the branches or the leaves. If teenagers don't finish school, then they may have difficulty finding a job, which is going to cause a low future income, or going to result in low income. Teenagers who don't finish school tend to have higher teenage pregnancy rates, which again would have a subsequent effects, lots of other consequences. And then lastly, teenagers who don't finish school tend to have higher drug and alcohol usage. And this in turn causes more accidents and causes more crime. So this is a problem tree with the core problem being teenagers not finishing school. Now this is called a solution tree. Because instead of having a problem at the center, it has a goal. The goal is the opposite of the problem, that teenagers finish school. The possible objectives are parents encouraging them. Parents think school is important. So each of these is the reverse of the previous slide. And then the effects are the long-term impact. If teenagers finish school, then they will find it easier to get a job. Or you could say, because teenagers finish school, there are lower teenage pregnancy rates. If teenagers finish school, then there will be lower drug and alcohol abuses, and so on. So this is a useful technique, having done the problem tree, to look for solutions. Now I have a challenge for you, and it's to do this. Write down right now 5 sentences that describe cause and effects using the language that we've been practicing. So the first 2 I've started for you to make it a bit easier. Because teenagers finish school, ... Please finish that sentence. And secondly, it is important that teenagers finish school so that what? Use this to help you to write 5 sentences. Please stop the video and do that right now. Just a few scientific writing notes. This will help your writing to be clear. Firstly, keep things simple and clear. Secondly, shorter is almost always better, but more difficult to do. What do I mean? Use fewer words if you can. Use shorter sentences and use punctuation. Avoid long words when shorter ones are adequate. I could have written, avoid long words when shorter ones are sufficient. But why should I use the word sufficient? It's a long word. Probably some of you don't even know what it means. So let's use the word adequate or enough. Cukup. A really useful test that I use for when I am writing sentences or writing the main message of my research is to ask this question. How can you write this sentence so that a child can understand it? This is a really good challenge because it often shows us whether we understand something clearly enough to explain it simply. If we can't explain it simply and clearly, it's probably because we don't understand it clearly enough. So the take-home message from this slide, please keep things simple and clear. Time to watch some more clips on YouTube. Firstly, I want you to watch this 5-minute video. It focuses on reading, but is simple and clear. So please click on that. And then having watched that, I want you to watch a 17-minute video. Okay, 10 minutes of teaching and 7 minutes of exercises. I know that there are lots of videos for you to watch, but this is supposed to be a 2-hour class. So my material is only half an hour, so I do expect you to watch these videos and to do the exercises. Right, I would like to test your knowledge using these online quizzes. So there are 2 quizzes. Quiz 1, you can click on here, 10 questions, and then quiz 2, a further 20 questions. Please write down your scores for these quizzes and submit them with your homework. I don't mind what score you get, but I want to see what level the class is at. So please do include the scores to these quizzes, the nilai for these quizzes, when you submit your homework. And this is your homework. So this is what I want you to do this week. I want you to create a problem tree with the core problem being the global pandemic of COVID-19. Okay, that is the core problem. So earlier we've looked at 3 different problem trees: teenagers not finishing school, protected areas, and child malnutrition. This time the core issue is a global pandemic of COVID-19. So you need to write the causes and effects of this being a global pandemic. Here's an example for you. A cause is globalization. Because the world is so connected, this means that the virus has spread everywhere. An effect of globalization is the virus is everywhere. Try and have at least 7 causes and 10 effects. I want you to write at least 7 causes and 10 effects on your problem tree. Then, once you have your problem tree, below your problem tree on Microsoft Word, I want you to write 10 different sentences that explain the cause and effects using the language we have learned today. For example, this would be one sentence. Because the world is more interconnected, the virus has spread rapidly to every corner of the globe. That would be one example. Because the world is more interconnected, comma, the virus has spread rapidly to every corner of the globe. So I want you to write 10 sentences like that. Don't just replace the word because with since, because that's not very interesting and it doesn't challenge your language. I want 10 different sentences from your problem tree. And lastly, don't forget to also write the scores you get for the 2 online quizzes. Just write quiz 1, 20%, 30%, 90%, whatever your result was. And then quiz 2, 80%, or whatever it was. These scores will not affect your nilai, don't worry, but they help me to know whether the level of the class is too easy, just right, or too difficult. Thanks very much for listening, and I look forward to receiving your homework. And again, please do your homework on your own. Make your own global pandemic problem tree. Do not copy. Do not plagiarize. Do not work together. Please work on your own and submit the Microsoft Word problem tree to me through WhatsApp. Thanks very much again. Have a good day.